You are listening to In Conversation with Jennie and Mark.
Hello and welcome. I am Reverend Jennie Adams from Holy Trinity, Prince Consort Road, South Kensington.
And I am the Reverend Mark Adams from St Margaret's Church of Antioch, officially in Barking.
Look at us. We've upgraded and gone a little bit posh, haven't we?
We have upgraded, yes.
Because we're now on Spotify and Apple and YouTube.
All the usual podcast platforms, as they like to say. We're just getting all professional.
So let's start.
Let's start.
Today we're going to look at Mothering Sunday because that's what's happening this weekend.
Yeah.
Mark, how do you feel about Mothering Sunday?
I don't find it the easiest time or Sunday of the year, to be honest. We probably should just point out, because we know that there are even some people listening to us across the pond, and you might be thinking, why are they talking about Mothering Sunday? In the UK, we celebrate Mothering Sunday on the third Sunday of Lent. So, or even the fourth Sunday of Lent. That professionalism is just rocking this morning. Fourth Sunday of Lent. So that's why we're talking about Mothering Sunday. I know in the States and in other parts of the world, you celebrate Mother's Day, as you may call it, on a different day, but Mothering Sunday, we call it. So yes, it's not the easiest time. My mum passed away when I was young, as a teenager. And so I've never found Mothering Sunday from then particularly easy. How about you? How do you feel about Mothering Sunday?
It's really interesting because I tick all the correct boxes. My mother is still alive. She's really happy. It's all okay. I am a mother. I should really love it, but I don't. I still find it still a little bit. And I think I feel the same way as I do about Valentine's Day, really. It's forced fun, forced love. It's not very real, and I find it all a bit icky. But we have to do it. I tend to concentrate more on the fact that it's the fourth Sunday of Lent, and it was the reason that the people in service went back to church. But that's not really what people want to hear. They want to hear.
So I suppose we're sort of acknowledging, and I think it is important to acknowledge, and we always try and do this, that Mothering Sunday is difficult for some, brackets, a lot of people. On the other hand, there's a lot to celebrate in it. So I think we need to find a way to hold on to the good and celebrate the good of Mothering Sunday, which of course is, there's a lot of good there, while also acknowledging that it can be a difficult day.
I mean, I always feel that I'm not so desperate for some daffodils.
Yeah, so flowers, we also know, very contentious, surprisingly so in some ways. We are experimenting with flowers in a different way this Sunday at St Margaret's. So if you're coming to St Margaret's, so watch out for that. Are you having flowers?
I can promise you no flowers.
Okay, so if you want a no flower day and you're in the London area, then Holy Trinity, South Kensington is the place to be. But you've got a very special visitor this weekend, haven't you? I know that. So
yes, the Bishop of London will be coming to lead the service and preach. So in many ways, I am off the hook.
You're off the hook. Okay.
Which is why we're going for the reading that we're going for, isn't it? Because we're looking at John and Holy Trinity. But as I'm not preaching and you are, we're going to discuss your reading today, which is...
Yes, and I think we're thinking that most people will be thinking it's Mothering Sunday, certainly if they're in the UK. So that's why we're going to look at the reading from 1 Samuel 20 and verse 28. If you're watching on the video, then we are going to put it on the screen. If you're listening on audio, then obviously we're going to read it.
Can we just say where it's from again? Because you've done it again. It's 1 Samuel 1.
1 Samuel 1, verse 20 to 28. So we're in the story of ancient Israel, the end of the time of the judges, where everyone's been going off doing their own thing. And we're at the start of the book of Samuel, where God has appeared to and made a promise to Hannah that she is going to have a son. And so that's where we're picking the story up. So I'm reading. 1 Samuel 1, verse 20. In due time, Hannah conceived and bore a son. She named him Samuel, for she said, I have asked him of the Lord. The man Elkanah and all his household went up to offer to the Lord the yearly sacrifice and to pay his vow. But Hannah did not go up, for she said to her husband, as soon as the child is weaned, I will bring him, that he may appear in the presence of the Lord and remain there forever. I will offer him as a Nazarite for all time. Her husband Elkanah said to her, "Do what seems best to you. Wait until you have weaned him. Only may the Lord establish his word." So the woman remained and nursed her son until she weaned him. When she had weaned him, she took him up with her, along with a 3-year-old bull, an ephah of flour, and a skin of wine. She brought him to the house of the Lord at Shiloh, and the child was young. Then they slaughtered the bull, and they brought the child to Eli. And she said, "Oh, my Lord, as you live, my Lord, I am the woman who is standing here in your presence praying to the Lord. For this child I prayed, and the Lord has granted me the petition that I made to him. Therefore I have lent him to the Lord. As long as he lives, he is given to the Lord." She left him there for the Lord. Okay then, Jenny. So fantastic example of mothering here. Please, the example of this passage is, please don't bring your children to church and then leave them there for us to look after. That is not the message that we're going for.
Babies. Well, there you are. There you are, Eli.
There you are. Have a baby. I've just weaned him. He's all yours. Over to you.
You can eat a biscuit. It's all okay. Why do you pick this passage for Mothering Sunday?
Well, it's one of the passages which is set in the lectionary. So
Yeah.
that's why. I mean, because yes, okay, why? It's in the lectionary. That's why we're using it. There's a few passages that the lectionary rotates around, and this is the one I thought we'd go for this year.
Okay. I mean, I would have gone, well, we are going for the much more simple John with Jesus at the cross, but okay. Hannah leaving her baby.
What's your reaction to that?
There are times when I would have loved to take my children to church and just leave them there. But I'm not sure at this point. I think they were a bit older. Every time I read it, I kind of just a bit surprised. I mean, it is the ultimate sacrifice to hand your child over. I guess what I'm always struck by a little bit is the mothers in the 60s in those mother and baby homes that were basically forced to hand their children over. And I mean, I suspect in your congregation there might not be any, but there might be. So I would say just bear that in mind because they've never got over it. And that's the first thing that strikes me, that knowledge of having to hand over your child. I mean, when
I think there is a difference here, though, isn't there? Is that there's no sense that Hannah is in a way being forced to. She does it willingly, I think, because she recognises. And there's lots of cultural differences, of course, there are, which are hard for us to get our head around. But I think if we just take the passage at face value, she is so grateful to God for giving her this child that she is willing to hand the child back into God's service. I think, is that not what this is saying?
I think that is the message of it. I think it's quite problematic in many ways. But I think that is the message, God blesses us and we return that blessing by serving him. I think that really is. Yeah, and we can sacrifice a bull at the same time.
Well, obviously, that's also something we want to encourage, so that's fine.
I mean, that'll be easier in your churchyard than it would be at Holy Trinity.
Yeah, I think that's got to be. I mean, there's something here is about Hannah recognizing that her child is not her own personal possession, isn't it?
I think, yeah. What do I struggle a little bit because I've been so desperate for a child. So I recognize that. That real desperation and you would do anything. So when that child arrived for me, the idea of actually, as I say, at that stage, being able to give him up, once he could talk, it was slightly different. But at that stage, I mean, I didn't even want anyone to look after him. So I can really kind of relate to how difficult this was. But also, almost what's the point? It's like, so
Well, of course, I mean, it's all part of Sam. It's an important origin story for Israel, isn't it? So there's this sense of Samuel is the great leader who is going to bring all this together, and he's the kingmaker, of course, isn't he? Samuel's the kingmaker. So he has this call on his life. He's the one who's going to anoint Saul, and then of course, even more importantly, David, from which we get, the line of which leads to Christ. So there's an important call on Samuel's life here, isn't there?
but we know that in hindsight, we know that because we know the full story. Okay, so women were desperate for children because that almost proved, well, that did prove their worth. And children were there to help, and children were there to carry on the family name, all that sort of thing. So if you've got that, and then you immediately hand that child back, what? Why? Why?
So I think what's interesting about our conversation here, isn't there, and it probably reflects both parts of this reading, is that I'm sort of being perhaps being the sort of somewhat analytical, there's the purpose for this, we could see it in it, and that's true, and you're being perhaps the more, the reaction of you as a mother of what is going on here? I can't deal with this. This is bad.
Yeah.
And I think actually I think it's okay within this to hold on to both of those things.
Yeah, I think I can understand the message, but I'm still, I relate. I'm sorry, I got it just here because I relate fully, really, to have that desperation for a child and what it would be like to hand it over. But yeah, I mean, we do know the full story. What are you going to do with it on Sunday?
Well, I'm
What are you
thinking actually out of this conversation, what I'm thinking is that I'm kind of back to where we started, that this story actually reflects some of the tensions that are within Mothering Sunday, and you can preach out of that. So yes, there's plan, there's purpose. God has got an amazing call on Samuel's life, which is going to be reaffirmed with him as a child, isn't it? The whole, getting up in the middle of the night thing that the story goes on to, which I'm sure people will be familiar with. And yet there is this real pain at the heart of it, and you can feel Hannah's pain within it, can't you? I'm going to hold on to him for as long as I can because I know I've got to let him go. I think we need to just do a little bit of a shout out for Elkanah, who's got the husband thing down pat, hasn't he? Because he knows what to say, which is basically, you do what you think is right.
I think that's a little kind of window into what life was like for them.
Do what seems best to you. I think that's always well done, Elkanah. Striking a blow. Husbands everywhere.
Maybe just absolving himself of all responsibility. It depends how you look at it.
I mean, absolutely. I take it either way. But no, I mean, coming back to the kind of, I think that what's interesting is that tension is there in this passage. You do see Hannah's pain in having to let him go. It's there. I'm holding on to him for as long as I can. And yet she also acknowledges that this child is not her possession. So children are a gift from God. And those who care for us are a gift from God as well, aren't they? So, Hannah cares for Samuel, and Samuel presumably carries that all through his life, even if he has a strange upbringing.
So
I'm taking out of it.
I have a rather practical historical question, which I think I know the answer to. So this probably wasn't the only baby in the temple. So there must be a section of handed over children.
I don't know the answer to that. I don't know. I never sort of imagined that. I have to be honest. There's a sort of whole kindergarten full of like an extended toddler group that's going to be run by Eli. I don't know the answer to that. That's interesting. I've always thought not really. I've always thought that Samuel was really in a sense singled out here as being, having this unique call, which, it's then worked out in his life. But I don't know. Does that make a difference to how you read it?
It's some knowledge of Anna and Simeon, but I don't think Anna was the only person just sitting there on her own. She's just the one that was named. I think actually there were kind of a whole quarter of widows. Or maybe the widows looked after the children. Yeah.
Of course, and it wouldn't have been the Jerusalem temple at this point, would it? Because it's not been built yet.
No, that's true, but
But even so, it's still the place
yeah,
where they offer the sacrifices, isn't it?
yeah, historical.
Yeah. Yeah, in fact, Jerusalem wasn't, because David, of course, establishes the city. So, yeah, I don't know the answer to that. I've always imagined him to be there on his own, but we're not told, are we? Whether there's a whole load of children growing up there, maybe there is. You kind of hope for Samuel's sake there kind of was. I don't mean it, but there's
And
never any mention of the other children, are they? In the story when the call of Samuel, there's never any
no,
mention.
but that's because he is the one, isn't he? The chosen. They're not going to name them all, are they?
No.
But
No.
just
Does it make any difference to the message you would want to say?
yes, I think so. I mean, it feels a little bit of a safeguarding risk to hand your baby over to
but that's not really.
Doesn't just.
Well, yeah, of course. In
And
our
also,
21st century culture, we got a lot of questions. But
poor Eli, here's the baby.
This 3,000 years ago. I mean, 50 years ago feels like another country, let alone 3,000 years ago. Yes, there are lots of questions around that. But I don't think that the pain of Hannah giving her child up, in a way, you're right to come back to that. Even though she does it willingly, she does it in response to God's greatest gift to her. That's still painful. And I think you can still see that in the passage.
Oh, no, absolutely. And I think that's probably what we should be taking from this, really.
Yeah.
Our blessings are not our own, really.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
we hope that's been helpful as some reflections for Mothering Sunday. We hope you have a good Mothering Sunday. We've got one thing we wanted to end on, Jenny, haven't we? Which is a poem that you discovered. Do you want to say a little bit more about it?
Well, I'm going to just read it really between us, but it's a poem I should name check by Amy Young, called The Wide Spectrum of Mothering. And I read it every year at Mothering Sunday because I think it covers as many people, no matter where they are in that mothering journey or relationship with their own mothers or lost mothers. It just acknowledges everybody, really.
Yeah, and I think obviously, you're right. It's written by Amy Young. She has a website we've called messymiddle.com. And if you like this poem, if you just do a web search for The Wide Spectrum of Mothering by Amy Young, you'll find it.
Okay. To those who gave birth this year to their first child, we celebrate with you.
To those who lost a child this year, we mourn with you.
To those who are in the trenches with little ones every day and wear the badge of food stains, we appreciate you.
To those who experienced loss this year through miscarriage, failed adoptions, or running away, we mourn with you.
To those who walk the hard path of infertility, fraught with pokes, prods, tears, and disappointment, we walk with you. Forgive us when we say foolish things. We don't mean to make this harder than it is.
To those who are foster mums, mentor mums, and spiritual mums, we need you.
To those who have warm and close relationships with your children, we celebrate with you.
To those who have disappointment, heartache, and distance with your children, we sit with you.
To those who are mothers this year, we grieve with you.
To those who experience abuse at the hands of your own mother, we acknowledge your experience.
To those who lived through driving tests, medical tests, and the overall testing of motherhood, we are better off for having you in our midst.
To those who have aborted children, we remember them and you on this day.
To those who are single and long to be married and mothering your own children, we mourn that life has not turned out the way you longed for it to be.
To those who step-parent, we walk with you on these complex paths.
To those who envisioned lavishing love on grandchildren, yet that dream is not to be, we grieve with you.
To those who will have emptier nests in the upcoming year, we grieve and rejoice with you.
And to those who are pregnant with new life, both expected and surprising, we anticipate with you.
This Mother's Day, we walk with you. Mothering is not for the faint of heart, and we have real warriors in our midst. We remember you.
So, thank you everyone for listening.
We'll
be back next week.
We will. Have a great week, and if you are celebrating Mothering Sunday, we hope it goes well for you.
Thank you for listening to In Conversation with Jennie and Mark. Please subscribe for more episodes on all the usual podcast platforms.